Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. A horrific and a barbaric video of two Manipuri women being paraded naked and then later on gang raped went viral day before yesterday. That video has shook the nation's conscience. Prime Minister Narendra Modi broke his silence after 79 days. Supreme Court took suo motu cognizance. All this was discussed yesterday across the media channels. But who's going to find out as to what was the role of media as far as the Manipur clashes are concerned? The Manipur clashes between the dominant Meitei and the Kuki tribe started somewhere on 3rd May. And since that time, has media given a correct picture of what has been happening in Manipur? Yesterday also, if you remember, government sent a notice to Twitter to take down the video. Was that correct? All these questions and much more today with a very prominent voice of the country. He's the director of the Hindu Publishing Group. Sir, thank you so much for joining. And Ram is here with us. Mr. Ram, welcome on the Federal. And my first question to you really is that in what role do you see media as far as the Manipur clashes have been concerned?
The media have failed on 2 counts. One, I think, is to just depict this as, except some sections, I must say, honorable sections, progress, democratic sections. I don't want to go into the details because we don't know enough. But certainly they have called attention to the truth. But the first count on which the media have failed is that it's simply to describe these as ethnic clashes is maybe true at a surface level, but it obscures the truth, the real truth, the deeper truth, which is that a minority belonging to a minority religion, if you like, here in India, Christians, because the Kuki-Zo tribes are largely Christian, have been targeted.
True.
How it started after a court verdict, all that is well known. We don't have to go into it. And this, I think, repeatedly occurs when Dalits are attacked by so-called higher, caste Hindus and so on in some states, where you equate the victim with the aggressor. So I think that's one part where it's failed. But the bigger failure, of course, is to discover what happened on May 3rd, considering that an FIR, a 0 FIR, was filed on the 18th of May, I read. The police certainly have done nothing about it. And the central government said nothing about it. The state government seemed to have covered it up. Of course, now the chief minister says he takes suo motu cognizance of this incident. It's mystifying how he used that kind of term, considering that an FIR had been filed. He's given his excuses, more than 1,000 cases being investigated. They couldn't come to it, etc. But such a horrific incident involving, stripping women, forcing them at gunpoint to parade naked, gang raping them, and murdering 2 people. Reportedly, the father and brother of one of the women. How could that escape media attention? How could it not be in the news? So the media have completely failed because they've got more and more superficial. Because particularly after the pandemic and the lockdowns, I think a lot of the reporting is done, sitting at home or sitting in the office. The old style reporting is not done. I don't know if some of them got wind of it and covered it up. I can't say without evidence, but it's a signal failure that such a horrific act or set of acts, in this case, in this village, escaped media attention. It wasn't even mentioned, let alone analyzed, etc. Right. So, and the bigger failure, of course, is with the governments concerned, the state and the BJP-led government in the state and the central government. I think they have a bigger responsibility, but we can talk about it.
Right. But Mr. Ram, there is also a debate whether this video of the 2 women should have been put out or should not have been put out. Because the central government has given a notice. Yesterday, they gave a notice to Twitter to take down all the material which is related to the video and, of course, the video as well, because some people had blurred the video and then it was put out. Of course, what little silence breaking we saw yesterday from the Prime Minister, and of course, the Supreme Court also taking suo motu cognizance, was because the video was put out on Twitter and people did see the video. Now, should that video have been put or should not?
Absolutely, because that is what brought the truth out to the surface, to the whole country. And I would say to the world at large, because I've seen the foreign press also reporting it. And it forced the Prime Minister and the central government to talk about it, and the Chief Minister, of course, who certainly knew about it, or should have known about it. So the video, that part, of course, they will say that, in order to protect the privacy and dignity of the two women and their families, you should take precautions and safeguards. And that can be done, as you said, by blurring the video or obscuring the faces. But certainly this news has to come out. There have been a long debate about photographs of famines and other very heartbreaking scenes, people dying on the streets. And there is a lot of historical evidence that photographs and detailed descriptions of, say, the Bengal famine of 1943, Amartya Sen has written on it. When they published in the Statesman, much against the opposition of the then British government, I think it had a huge impact. It did a lot of good. And elsewhere on famines, I think there's been a whole debate. So in this case, the video did a whole lot of good. Also, it brought the victims nearer justice, because the Supreme Court, in a very fine gesture, spoke strongly. And I think the government's, the representatives, the law officers who could not really answer this at that point. Let's see what kind of explanation they take to the Supreme Court at the next hearing. But that's at one level. But nationally, this is going to, I think, cause deep injury to the prospects of the BJP. This is, I'm pretty sure about it, because it's going to be a big issue taken by this alliance now called India, because India against rape, India against gang rape, India against forcing people to be, and I think that is going to resonate with large sections of the public, and they're going to point out that why has it taken, you said 79 days, close to 80 days before the Prime Minister thought it fit to speak out. Is it possible that with such a deep state, surveillance methods, they didn't really know about it? Did the Home Ministry not know about it? Did the Chief Minister of Manipur not know about it? Were there not intelligence briefings? Did the National Human Rights Commission, which I read in the papers, issued several press releases, but not one on this.
Right.
On what happened in Manipur at all, not just this incident, these atrocities, but the violence, the destruction of homes, the killing of people. All that is not news for this government.
Right. But Enram, yesterday I was listening to Mr. Biren Singh, who's the Chief Minister of Manipur, and he was giving phoners and sound bites to all the TV channels, where to one of the English news channels, he said that, yes, there are many videos like this, not one, but many. And some are saying it's more than 100. Some are saying that we have apparently some 1,000 videos like these. And then suddenly he said, no, it's condemnable. So it was an honest admission of the fact that he did know about this video, and he knows many more cases like these which have been hushed up, and probably that was a reason why the internet was shut down. Now, what would you really say as a prominent voice of the country, media, where everything was covered up, where everything was blighted completely? What was the role of the media at this point of time, which media really failed, should have done?
Yes, I think once all this has become known, the media should take a much stronger position instead of merely condemning the act. Look at the role of the various instruments and these intermediary, this act known as IT Act 2021, which has been subsequently amended. I think we know that the whole purpose is authoritarianism. This is what it's all about. That you want to shut out the news. Social media are a powerful player in the political arena, and you want to shut it out under the pretext that it'll inflame public opinion, outrage is important on issues of relating to injustice. If there's no outrage, nothing will be done. And nothing will be known. So the journalism of outrage, in this case, totally justified, needs to be developed. And the media have certainly not done that. Some of them, of course, didn't know about it. They were lazy. And what happened to the National News Agency? They did not pick it up. And the various TV channels. So that's a failure. But I think the bigger failure, the bigger culpability is on the part of the government's concerned and the various agencies, the police, for a start. They didn't take this seriously, because the original FIR was filed in another jurisdiction. It took a long time before it was transferred to the right jurisdiction, and then nothing has been done, because as Mr. Biren Singh says, I mean, that's his justification or excuse, too many cases, so they'll investigate one by one. Put investigators on the job. This is a major issue, and clearly there has been a cover-up.
Right. I was looking at Telegraph today, Mr. Ram, and there was a screeching headline which on the top page, which said that it took 79 days for pain and shame to pierce 56-inch skin. And here they have a picture of a crocodile. This is the banner which Telegraph has put out with this tagline. Now, we hardly see headlines like these now across the newspapers, but what would you really say as far as the image of Modi is concerned when it comes to the Manipur crisis?
I think it's going to take a real beating. It depends on the opposition. It depends on the professional media, what we do, and it also depends on the social media. They've now tried to completely censor the social media, even discussions on this, under the pretext it'll inflame public opinion or sentiments, emotions, and so on. So you got, but the opposition is certainly going to campaign on this. They're going to send a committee to Manipur, and I think more facts are going to emerge. And this is a real opportunity. It's been given to the opposition on a platter, this issue. And I think it's got a lot of significance when, women who are increasingly voting in a big way, in an independent way are concerned. I think but much depends on the opposition and then the professional media. I think there will be some ways in which people will break through the social media space in various ways. And then, of course, there'll be a huge burden on these so-called technology companies, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, etc. It'll be a gigantic job to monitor all that.
But Mr. Ram, was it right on government's part to send a notice to Twitter yesterday?
Of course not. But they do it all the time. They did it for much less. But here, much is at stake here.
Right.
And it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful that the National Human Rights Commission has, even if you concede it may not have known about this incident, these atrocities, there are other violence, there are other target attacks, and it said nothing about it, done nothing about it. So why have a Human Rights Commission if these are not human rights that are being violated in a most flagrant way? And the Prime Minister said, I don't think the 140 crore Indians need to hang down their head in shame. The governments concerned need to hang down their heads in shame. Don't try to throw the blame on the people.
Right. In fact, I was coming to Prime Minister's statement, and that was going to be my next question to you. That if you look at Prime Minister's statement yesterday, which he gave outside the Parliament just before the Parliament session was beginning, he did mention of this fact, what you just said, that the heads of 1.4 crore Indians hangs in shame. But apart from that, he also tried to mix politics, and he tried to mix Manipur with Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. Now, what does that show as far as a statement coming from a Prime Minister is concerned?
It shows a lot of confusion. It shows an attempt to divert attention from this or to minimize the horror of this, the gravity of this, saying it's elsewhere. I also saw, apart from that, Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasads, very experienced veteran BJP leader, he made a statement saying, why did this video come now?
Yes.
So you're questioning the very question you asked, should it have come out at all? Why is it coming out now? And then they point to Rajasthan, etc. Every such atrocity should be condemned, irrespective of party affiliation and so on. But this has a special, gravity, a special significance, because there's instruments of state have not acted, and surely there has been a cover-up at the level of the police and maybe going up. And we know what the chief minister's stance is on this, which side he's on. We've seen what happened in communal riots before. There is a communal angle as well. Right. Yeah, it's not just ethnic, as the media often portray, because they point out many of them are Christians, etc. The cookies of tribes, but that has not been drawn out.
But Mr. Ram, what is your feeling? I mean, the ethnic clashes, of course, Northeast, many times, people try and call it ethnic clashes. But given the fact that 2024 elections are not far away, just few months left, is this kind of a communal color going to have some kind of a national impact as well? And is that what BJP is looking for? Trying to stir up the communal pot in Northeast, in small pockets, try and create smaller leaders who are like chieftains and almost like dictators, not ready to listen to the oppressed community. Is Northeast just a smaller symptom of this larger problem?
I think it is a symptom of a larger problem, but it's gone out of control. And it has assumed a size and scale and significance that they couldn't have possibly anticipated in this. So, the gain from this is going to be so small, and I think against that, the loss, because who's going to justify? I don't think the majority of Hindu voters or whoever else are going to have any sympathy for governments and political parties that do not act against this in time, try to cover up, and then even morally justify it by saying, oh, what about the other thing in that state? What have you done about it? Diverting attention. You focus on this and resolve this issue. And that's what they failed to do. So coming so late, I think they're going to have a real credibility problem. But it's up to the opposition and to an extent the media to center stage this issue and demand justice. And I think the Supreme Court in that sense has done very well. So strongly. There have been so many atrocities, so many acts of high-handedness and authoritarianism. The courts don't always react to that or take it up. But here, it's such a, basic, it goes to the basic, emotions of people, the way, the brief description of what happened. I think it's carried the message very far that this government is not up to its job.
Right. What is deeply disturbing, Mr. Ram, is that Narendra Modi was on a tour to America where there was bad press regarding the human rights violations in India. Then a few days later, he was in France, and a similar kind of a bad press he earned in France as well. And immediately after he returns from the tour of these two countries, we see a video like this. What is the message which has really gone across the world at this point of time about Narendra Modi?
The message is to reinforce the view among serious professional journalists. I read The Guardian, I read the BBC and New York Times, the Financial Times, Washington Post, and surely in other languages as well, Al Jazeera. And I think the fact that India has an authoritarian regime and that human rights are being violated, minority rights are being violated, secularism is being trampled underfoot. I think these may not be the wider public perception, but I think there's enough out there. So this is going to strengthen that. And there will be more investigations by foreign correspondents or journalists working for foreign news agencies. So this government is certainly going to be on the back foot, as they say on this, very much on the defensive. So they'll try something else perhaps, but this is a big blow, I would say, and a big opportunity for the opposition alliance to see that justice is rendered in this case, whatever be their motives and their strategies. But this is an issue you can't let go.
But how long can the Modi's cabinet ministers continue to dismiss reports? Like when there was bad press in America and France, we saw cabinet ministers dismissing the reports and saying that what you were saying, you can't paint the entire country with just one brush. Those kind of statements coming. How long can they continue doing that, especially after this video?
Yeah, I mean, people have seen through this, and the External Affairs Minister, Mr. Jai Shankar, a very skilled diplomat, he is an expert in this regard. He puts out this, because he's very, polished and so on. So he puts out this message saying, "Who are you to ask about it, or what you said, that you're sort of blowing it up out of context and so on. It happens in every country, and who are you to take this up? We are only answerable to our people. We are elected. All this won't wash. People have seen through this." And I think I see a recurring theme in the serious media that I read, that whatever be the strength of the BJP and Prime Minister Narendra Modi's charisma and so on, India is going through an anti-democratic phase. There may be some other voices, but only the leaders at the top, Biden or Rishi Sunak, or even some regimes in West Asia, the Middle East, they sing a different tune, playing up to this. But I think the serious media, which are followed seriously, which have an influence on public thinking, I think they have seen through this.
Right. But you think that now, especially after this video has come out, there'll be more journalists from the international media who will try and visit Manipur, and there could be a feeling that the government will try and scuttle their visits so that the reality doesn't come out.
Yeah, there are various ways of reporting this. Some they will try to visit and they may be blocked, or they may be allowed.
Right.
Probably they'll be blocked. They'll be denied permission. But there are other ways. There are local journalists and so on who can be recruited or already recruited, because surely the Northeast being covered more than before, not adequately, but more than before. So I think you have a number of journalists, very competent journalists in northeastern India, including in Manipur. So I think it's reached a level where the information system has reached a level where you can't just suppress it. You can't just censor what is happening there. And also the Indian media will be able to cover it. So it can be picked up from there.
Right. We normally, in Narendra Modi government, we don't see heads rolling after any crisis. People have been demanding that Biren Singh should be sacked, the chief minister of Manipur. Why shouldn't not he be sacked? But the BJP spokespersons yesterday across the TV channels, they said, resignation se kya hoga? Why should he resign? Resignation is not the solution to the problem. What does that goes to show?
It shows certain certain doggedness there, because if they feel, I think if you give in, there'll be more demands and it's a sign of weakness. So brazen it out. It's happened before. I don't want to draw it's happened before in Gujarat and so on. So I don't want to go into all that. But they will fight it out or brazen it out. And to get this man out now, because he may have a certain base, it'll mean a setback to the BJP, but above all, it'll mean conceding the opposition's case as they see it. That it will be conceding the fact that there was a cover-up. And he acted improperly.
Sir, after this, we were on a panel discussion on various platforms yesterday, and I was speaking to one of the intellectuals who said that, Neelu, if you look at the history of how minorities have been suppressed, it's just not about Muslims alone. But and that lady, she started drawing examples that every 10 years, every 10 years, minorities are made to feel like second-class citizens. And she started giving me the example of Godhra, which happened in 2002 and 3. Then you had a Muzaffarnagar riots in 2013. And exactly after 10 years, now we see this horrific incident. Do you see that there is some kind of a pattern which, that was just one view. I thought I'll ask you a question on this, that every 10 years, do you see this as a pattern? or this is becoming a regular phenomena which doesn't move the government at all?
Yeah, I think there's quite a literature, academic as well as journalistic, on communal violence in India and the targeting of minorities. There's also sometimes, extremist sections of claiming to act for the minority hit back, some terrorist incidents. All that has to come in. There's quite a literature on it. So I don't know if there's a pattern. But certainly, whether it's cyclical or and so on. But certainly it happens repeatedly in certain states. Certain areas are more vulnerable than others. People have looked at demographic details to see whether there's any correlation between those demographics and communal violence and so on. But there's also the horrific attacks on minorities in Delhi, northeast Delhi.
Absolutely.
You see, which again, so this is an area we don't know. Whether there's a pattern or there's something structural in this. The Indian political economy has this inbuilt structurally, and whether politics, it's not just the BJP, the Congress, the anti-Sikh, the pogrom against Sikhs after the assassination of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. So it's happened, and I think different political parties have to share the responsibility and accountability in this regard. But it's an interesting subject, and I think a lot of research is being done on it.
Right. Mr. Enram, but after this video has come out and people have seen what it has done to those two women, and we've seen videos of people sobbing as to what those two girls or the ladies would be going through. Do you think that Narendra Modi, because he keeps talking about Mahila Samman and Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, is he going to lose the ground as far as the women voters are concerned, especially after this horrible video?
I think it depends on how the campaigners take this up, but certainly it's a dangerous area for the Prime Minister and the BJP. How they tackle it, we can't predict, but it is a major problem. Something unexpected has happened in a small part of India, and if they think they can capitalize on it, I think they are profoundly mistaken, because they can only divert attention from it. If they try to put out arguments that sound like a justification or rationalization of what happened, as we saw when they say what happened in Rajasthan, that is a rationalization.
Exactly.
And
yes.
Because you're running away from this issue. Because I think this is a powerful, theme in the political theater, and I think much depends on how the opposition in various states picks it up.
Right.
Not just in the Northeast. It goes, in fact, it'll be much more significant outside the Northeast, I think.
Absolutely. So now taking you away from Manipur, of course, it has been very, very painful. But the India Alliance, which has been formed, and we saw the meeting in Bangalore. What do the prospects look like? Is it very encouraging? Does it give you hope as a prominent voice of the country? What do you feel about this India Alliance?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing, because if you divide the opposition, then it's a no contest at the national level. So getting together, and of course there will be intra-India contests and contradictions, tensions also. For example, in West Bengal, there's no way that the left front will go along with Mamata Banerjee. But by and large, if you minimize this, accepting that in some states there will be there'll be contests against each other, not good relations. But by and large, at the national level, the idea is to unseat this government, which, according to the joint resolution adopted by this, this meeting of 50-odd leaders, it's to defend constitutional values.
Absolutely.
Liberty, equality, fraternity, and justice, as they said, and secularism.
Right.
minority rights, economic development. I think they have to elaborate that more.
Yes.
What's the difference between them and the BJP, the NDA government? The NDA,
Right.
by the way, looked like a moribund alliance. The BJP is by no means moribund. It's strong, but it's got stronger at the expense of other constituents of the NDA. Now, in response to India getting together, they called a meeting at short notice, and many of the parties we never heard of.
Right.
And
do you think that
two major allies are not part of it yet, or maybe not at all, the Akali Dal and Telugu Desam Party.
Right. But BJP did seem to have a problem with the acronym India. And the way Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma, he removed the word India from his Twitter bio. And then people started, just criticizing the word India, and so what does this, in terms of messaging, what does it really show? Is BJP rattled, or is BJP really terrified of the opposition coming together? How would one read it?
Yeah, India has a powerful message, especially with the tagline on Bharat. So they have it both ways. India, that is Bharat. So they can play on that, and it will be objected to. I think somebody's even gone to court, but which court has the power to stop this?
Yes.
Because who can say you can't be for India?
Right.
So I think it's a clever thing. What I learned is
it was a violation of the Emblem Act.
I mean, this is not part of the emblem. In fact, the Bharatiya Janata Party, Bharatiya is there.
Right.
Some parties carry names of religion, Muslim League, and so on. So I think it's a no contest. It's a silly objection. They are clever enough to coin this term and give it some meaning, even if it's a bit stretched. I learned that Indian National Development Inclusive Alliance.
Yeah.
A mouthful, but India sounds very, very nice. India versus NDA.
Right. But you feel that BJP has lost the narrative in terms of the perception war right at the first day?
Yes, right. As of now, yes. But there's still some months, quite a while to go.
Right.
We shall have to see. But I learned that reliably that it was Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee who came up with the idea of India. Let's give her credit for that. And Rahul Gandhi immediately supported it. Some people seem to have some questions, but I know that the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister also supported it.
Right.
That's M.K. Stalin. So I think it was seen. It excited them, I think, or enthused them. Excited, maybe too strong a word. It enthused them.
Yes.
Because also the idea of being inclusive.
Right.
The idea of India.
Right.
So who can take it away from them?
Right. But it's quite deliberately thought-provoking also, because if you look at the nationalism narrative of BJP, do you think that the opposition now as India Alliance would really puncture that they've entered into BJP's citadel of nationalism? Would it be right to read it that way?
That's why I read some media analysis that suggests that. I think some Congress would be inclined that way. Some of the others less, because the regional parties or the state-based parties, regional is not quite the term, dominate this right now, although Congress has its a significant role, important role. But as long as Congress doesn't claim to be the boss, the leader, self-appointed leader, I think the alliance can do well. The problem is...
Mallikarjun Kharge did mention in that meeting, and he admitted to the fact that Congress is not interested in the post of the Prime Minister.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Because in the past, that's been a bone of contention. Also in states like Uttar Pradesh, the Congress is, it wants to, it won't accept the role of junior partner. Indira Gandhi, to credit, did that in Tamil Nadu a long time ago, in the early 70s, and it's come to stay. The Congress, of course, sometimes will claim too many seats. It's hard bargaining on seat allocation. So I'm talking about Tamil Nadu. But clearly the Congress is a junior partner.
Right.
Congress is in a different league from the DMK and the AIDMK also.
But Mr. Ram, you'll see Congress backing off, supposing if in Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, Congress wins. Could Congress back off from its current stand that, they're not interested in the post of the Prime Minister? And that could
We don't know.
jeopardizing this alliance.
We don't know how well the Congress will do in terms of Lok Sabha seats. But if they do well, as they're expected to in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, certainly, and Rajasthan may be quite a fight, although there could be anti-incumbency. So Bihar, let's see. So I think the opposition would do well to keep its expectations under control, not be too exuberant about this. When you play a cricket match, for example, the shrewd captains will or even a tennis match, they'll always say that, the other is very good. It's going to be very tough. He's great, etc. Whereas if you boast, I think you're going to be disappointed very often. So I think these expectations have to be kept at an optimal or a suboptimal level, if you like, but work hard.
Right. And so far, they've been able to bottle up those expectations, at least so far it seems like this. But one last question before I wind up the interview, that what are the challenges before India Alliance? And this 1:1 formula, how workable or how successful will it be in practical terms? We do not know. But what are the challenges you see in the days to come?
1:1 is not going to happen. We know it won't happen in West Bengal, but it'll happen in Tamil Nadu.
Right.
So it depends on the state. It will. Will it happen in Kerala? I don't know. I doubt it'll happen in Kerala. But I think there has to be give and take at the national level. If you really want to unseat this government and then go about defending the values you claim you stand for, constitutional values, then I think there has to be a lot of give, not just take.
Right.
And the Congress should, abandon the idea that it's a great party over the long term. It led the freedom struggle and we've ruled India. We've done all this and that. It's got to get more humble because it's taken a hell of a beating in recent times, entirely self-made. I think, and allowed the BJP or its so-called, its chauvinistic ideology to make big gains across much of the country, areas where they didn't have much before, even in Karnataka, for example. Right. Congress has a lot to answer for to its own people, its own cadres, its own supporters. But at the moment, it seems to have got it right, judged by the attitude shown by Mr. Karge and also Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi,
right,
who perhaps is the best among them in handling allies.
Right.
Let's give her that credit. UPA won.
Yes.
Sonia Gandhi, that was a success. She gets a lot of credit for the 2 terms the UPA had.
Right.
The second term less successful than the first, but it's Sonia Gandhi who was the cement holding it together. So I think they have that kind of capability.
Right. But so if intentions are good, capabilities are there, they have bottled up their aspirations and they've drawn the lines well. So very briefly, one last question: that can this opposition alliance or the India alliance, is it in a comfortable position or maybe a tricky position, but will it be able to trounce BJP in 2024?
It's in a good position. There's a much better position than one would have expected.
Right.
Going by recent, trends and so on. Will it be able to unseat? I don't want to hazard that one. Many people assume the BJP is strong, will come back, whether it can be a reduced majority or denied a majority or even denied the opportunity of forming the government. I'm not an astrologer, but the India alliance is in a good place. There's no doubt about it, given all that has happened in the last few weeks, last 10 days, I would say.
Right.
And they should keep going that way.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Enram. It was wonderful having you on the program. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this interview: subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ram.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.